It was the winter of 1939. The wind clawed across the Glencairn coastline, waves crashing against the rocks with a force only the Cape could muster. Early one morning, several residents reported a strange sight off the coast. A ship, enormous, ancient, with sails full despite the lack of wind, gliding silently just beyond the breakers. It wasn't on any naval manifest, no distress signal, no name on the hull, just a ghostly silhouette wrapped in mist. Within minutes, it vanished into the fog as quickly as it had appeared. The younger people were shocked, scared and confused, but the older folks, they knew. They just encountered the Flying Dutchman. At the southern tip of Africa lies a jagged finger of land reaching into the ocean, the Cape of Good Hope. But before it was given that optimistic name, early Portuguese explorers called it something far more ominous, the Cabo das Tormentas, the Cape of Storms. It earned that name for good reason. This is where the warm Agulhas current from the Indian Ocean collides violently with the cold Benguela current from the Atlantic. The result? Sudden storms, rogue waves, furious winds that change direction without warning, and a coastline littered with hidden reefs and ship-crushing rocks. Sailors attempting to round the Cape face not only the natural wrath of the sea, but also the limitations of 16th and 17th century navigation. Wooden ships croaked and groaned under the strain. Masts snapped. Crews froze in the icy gales or were flung overboard by waves taller than church steeples. Even the bravest captains feared these waters. Some would sail hundreds of miles off course just to avoid the Cape entirely. But for those sailing under the flag of the Dutch East India Company, rounding the Cape was not a choice, it was a necessity. And for one captain, the decision to challenge the Cape of Storms would lead to a fate worse than death. The Flying Dutchman is not a fairy tale whispered to children. For South Africans, especially those in Simonstown, Hout Bay or Hermanus, it is a story passed between generations like a warning. Sailors fear it, fishermen avoid talking about it, and the sea, always the sea, keeps its secrets well. The most accepted version of the legend begins in the 17th century. A Dutch East India Company vessel, commanded by one Hendrick van der Decken, was rounding the Cape on his return from the Indies. The crew begged him to wait out a storm, but the captain, stubborn or perhaps drunk, refused. As lightning split the sky and waves tore at the hull, he allegedly shouted, "I will round this Cape, even if it takes until Judgment Day." Other accounts claimed he said, "If God won't help me, then the devil will." In that moment, some say he invoked a curse upon himself. Others believe the devil appeared to him, sealing his fate. The storm never ceased, the ship never docked, and to this day, the Flying Dutchman is doomed to sail the oceans forever. The ship was seen by several witnesses through time, normal folk, sailors, fishermen, and beachgoers going about their day. But one witness was different. He was the future King of England. On July 11, 1881, Prince George of Wales, later King George V, was aboard the HMS Buckchant off the coast of Australia when a ghostly vessel appeared before them in the darkness. A ship glowing faintly red, passing them silently in the night. The lookout who first spotted it fell from the rigging to his death just a few hours later. Prince George wrote the event in his official naval journal. It's not rumour, it's history. Over the centuries, sightings of the Flying Dutchman have clustered around one place more than other though, the Cape of Good Hope. In 1870, a British merchant ship reports seeing a large vessel with torn sails vanish as they approach. In 1939, the Glencairn Beach sighting, the one we opened with, is followed by a second report 2 weeks later from a steamer en route to Mossel Bay. They also report seeing a large vessel with torn sails. just suddenly disappear. In 1965, fishermen near Kommetjie report seeing lights in the heavy fog, but no vessel ever comes into view. What horrifies people is that each time the ship appears, something goes wrong. Accidents, disappearances, storms. Those who see it are said to be marked. In 1992, a South African naval trainee based in Simonstown claimed he saw a ship while on coastal patrol late one foggy night. He described in his logbook a tall mast galleon, sails shredded but full with wind. No sound, no crew. Just glowing green eyes from the crow's nest. He blinked and it was gone. That trainee died in a horrible training accident just 1 month later. The Navy never responded to inquiries about his record. Could it be hysteria, or did he glimpse the Dutchman up close? In the years following each sighting, local folklore grows stronger. Families living alongside the Valsbay coast burn candles during spring tides. Children are told never to whistle at sea, and if a ship appears where none should be, do not wave, do not call out, do not stare. Those who do may never return. So many stories, so many sightings. They echo across time and place, told by sailors, royalty, and coastal families alike. But with every whispered account, the line between truth and legend blurs just a little more. Is the Flying Dutchman a supernatural curse doomed to sail forever? Or is it simply a sailor's tale, grown wild in the winds of the Cape? The question has haunted generations, and now it's ours to consider. Could it be true or untrue? Let's start off by looking at the captain of the Flying Dutchman, Hendrick van der Decken, and his ship. The archives of the Dutch East India Company contains no mention of a captain named Hendrick van der Decken. In fact, no ship officially named the Flying Dutchman ever existed under their registry. These inconsistencies suggest the tale is likely a blend of sailor folklore and maritime suspicion. Yet, despite the lack of evidence, the sightings persist, leading many to believe that some curses sail beyond the reach of paper and ink. The sightings of the Flying Dutchman can also be explained by science. Modern scientists point to a phenomenon known as Fata Morgana, a superior mirage where atmospheric conditions cause distant objects like ships to appear as if they are floating, distorted, or glowing. It's most common at sea, especially near land masses like the Cape, but Fata Morganas don't explain the consistency of the legend, or why they always appear before something tragic. Perhaps, as with many things at sea, it's not a matter of science, but belief. The Flying Dutchman is more than just a ghost story whispered by sailors and coastal townfolk. It has become a symbol, a myth that has sailed far beyond the Cape of Storms. Writers like Washington Irving and Sir Walter Scott immortalize it in literature. Poets, painters and composers have all drawn from its dark allure. Most notably Richard Wagner, whose 1843 opera, The Fliegende Holländer, brought the cursed ship to the grand stages of Europe. I've included a link to this in the description if you are interested in watching the opera. From maritime lore to modern pop culture, the tale of the doomed ship that can never dock has captivated imaginations across centuries and continents. It represents obsession, punishment, and the internal struggle against fate. But here, in South Africa, where cold mist clings to the rocks and strange silhouettes appear off Glencairn Beach, the legend remains more than fiction. It's part of the land and the sea. So when the fog rolls in and the waves fall silent, listen carefully. You may just hear the groan of old timbers or the cry of a crew that was never meant to die. Thanks for joining me on this wild voyage into one of the ocean's greatest mysteries. If you enjoyed the story, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss another strange or legendary tale. Drop a comment below. Have something eerie ever happened to you? Let us know. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.